Namaste. My name is Ashwini. Welcome to another episode of Growth Fit interview series brought to you by CustomFit.ai. CustomFit.ai enable marketers and sales professionals to customize their website content without code changes to showcase the right value proposition. It's super simple, just 3 steps. You have to install the Chrome extension, go to the website and customize your content, and generate the shareable links and track the visits. Today we have Guido Jansen with us. Hi Guido, and welcome to
Hello,
our show.
good day. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you. Guido is a global business and technology evangelist of Spiker System and host and producer of the famous podcast. I am also one of the follower of this podcast, CRO.CAFE.
Good to hear.
He's joining us from Netherlands, and it's one of my favorite countries. So it's gives me a great pleasure to have you. And I think today's session is going to be a lot about experimentation, testing, and convergence. I'm happy to start with
I would
your
expect
journey.
so, yes.
So happy to start with your journey, Guido. Like you started with convergence a long back, and what was that one thing you found very interesting to go for, and how did you move ahead in your journey so far? Also, tell us about something about Spiker Systems and how is CRO Cafe going?
Sure. I started my journey in college with when studying psychology. I studied the official title was Applied Cognitive Psychology, which is more about the usability of things and ergonomics, cognitive ergonomics. So not necessarily the physical ergonomics, so how easy something fits in your hand or how high your desktop monitor is. That's more the physical side of ergonomics. I studied more the cognitive side of that. So how easy is it for something to remember or to recall if that's needed? You can think of how easy it is to order a ticket at a train station, the ticketing machine. Do people get, and you get people with different languages. How do you support that? And wayfinding in an airport. At an airport, you have a lot of different languages, a lot of different cultures. So you cannot use language for everything because the language doesn't always work for everyone. You need icons and other ways to direct people to the right gates. So that's basically my background. And I always applied this to e-commerce, to web shops, and in college, doing this, you do a lot of experiments, you do a lot of user research, and there's a lot of statistics involved there. And that basically was, although college didn't do anything about online or e-commerce, it was a perfect base for me to start doing user research there. The journey so far, I've worked on both the agency side and the client side for Zero for the past 15 years. And the last couple of years been focused on building teams that do this, building teams that work on Zero and growth. Indeed, I currently work for Spiker Systems. It's a bit of a different job. It's not necessarily about A/B testing. It's about gathering feedback from the community. For Spiker. Spiker is an e-commerce platform. For the past 13 years, I've been heavily involved with the e-commerce platform Magento, but now made a big switch to Spiker. That's a bit more focused on the enterprise market, and there's a different way of working. Where Magento is more of a monolithic system, Spiker is way more focused on composable, on composed business. And package business capabilities. That's more that doesn't have much to do with the Zero itself. But yeah, I still do, like you mentioned, I still do the CRO.CAFE podcast, and that's really fun to do. Basically, and you might have the same experience. It's like a weekly talk you can have with someone, and it feels a bit like you can just invite anyone. And with any luck, they say yes, and then you can have an hour free consulting. You can ask them anything. It's really fun to do, especially right here in the Netherlands. We're now in lockdown, so you don't get out much to those events. So that's a perfect opportunity to stay up to date with current trends in the industry.
And I think it's a great opportunity to learn also from each and
Yeah.
everyone. I think there's, from my experience, there's always at least one takeaway that is really, really essential and relevant to what job you're doing right now, and
Yeah.
what responsibilities you're doing right
And previously, I mean, I really enjoyed going to events and talking at events and going on stage, and then that really helps um, to structure your own thoughts. I mean, if you want to give a presentation about something, you need to have, well, at least I I want to have like a structured way of thinking about the topic I'm presenting about. Then it forces you to take a step back and think about things a bit further. Then when you're at the event, hopefully you get people, hey, we do this same way or similar way or completely different way, and that's a great opportunity to learn. So just talking about these kind of things and discussing this is, for me personally, it's a great method of developing yourself.
That's true. I can totally relate. So, would you like to share some wins or your failures in experimentation? I think failures is the biggest thing that is repeated at each and every step.
Yeah.
And what was your learning from that? Any do's or don'ts you suggest for the CRO fellow marketers? Like,
Yeah, I think the biggest learning when you start in CRO, the thing you need to learn first is that you can handle failures, right? I think that's you need to be very comfortable with that. Otherwise, this is not going to be the job for you. If you start validating those things, and then you see a lot of things either don't do anything, or even worse, they perform something in the opposite direction that you want them to move. So yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, in terms of fails, not necessarily or wins. I'm really don't talk about specific experiments. I don't think that's the most interesting, but more on a bit higher level. I think definitely in the beginning of my CRO career, I focused way too much on the experimentation itself and the process itself. I've always been, I've seen others make the mistake that only focus on A/B testing, for example. I think because of my background in psychology and usability, I didn't have that. I always included usability in that, and I always did user research and combined that with validation and experimentation. So that was my benefit, I guess. But I focused way too much on that process alone and totally forgot to focus on communicating this within the company that I worked at, or the client that I worked for, and only focus, okay, we need to do this many experiments or this many user tests, or we need to reach XYZ uplift. But it's really important, maybe 10 years ago, even more than it is now, but still, I think it's really important that you get buy-in from the rest of the company. Not everyone gets experimentation. Not everyone gets what you're doing, and if they don't get it, you might not get people to work with you, or they might even work against you if you're unlucky. Or in the end, no one's getting what you're doing, and there's no budget to expand your team, or worse, you get fired, or you get moved to some other project that you don't want. I think that's a big thing that I learned. That's really a big part of experimentation, because it's so, for many people, it's really unnatural. I mean, and that's something we learn, actually. I mean, we start our lives off being very experimental. I mean, I have two little kids, two boys. One is 3 and one is 10 months now. They are very experimental. But when we go to school, we kind of unlearn that experimental side of us, and we start learning. Okay, there's that often happens in school. You learn that there's an answer to questions, and there's only one answer. And in business life, that's usually not the case. There might not be an answer at all, or there might be many answers, and it's very unclear. And that's very different situation than just doing sums or exercises at school. And that's a skill that you need to, as a CRO person, that you need to relearn. But you need to be aware a lot of other people in the company might not like that, might be offended by that. I mean, if you get into an e-commerce company as a CRO specialist, and there are a lot of people there are content writers, there are designers, there are people creating these marketing campaigns. And for them, it might feel like, oh, now we have this person checking our job, checking if it actually works. Does my campaign work? Does my content work? Does my design actually improve the numbers?
And to what extent it works?
Yeah, and you need to make clear to them that you're there to help them. And then, in the short term, it might hurt a bit, but hopefully in the end, like after a year, you can help them. You can say that to that designer, hey, I'm going to help you prove that your designs indeed improve our whatever KPI we are optimizing for, and that you're there to help them, help the company, and help them. And you're not there to criticize that job, but a lot of people see it or can see it that way, and that can be a tricky one. So a lot of communication that you need to do there. A second skill or learning is that you really need to make it's easy to dive in at a company and then just start optimizing conversion rate. I mean, that's the most obvious one, right? I mean, the whole industry that we're in, the job titles that I had, it's conversion rate optimization specialist, CRO specialist. Let's focus very much on that conversion rate as a KPI, but that might not be, well, probably isn't the most interesting KPI to focus on. You might want to reconsider that. It might be more focused on profit or market share. And my tip there would be to talk with your either CFO or finance team or BI team, talk to them and learn from them. What are they looking at? And they probably don't care about newsletter opt-in rates. They care about much different things. And you need to figure out what it is and then translate that back to the website that you're working on and try to focus on that. And those are the measures that management really cares about. And that's something you need to figure out as soon as possible.
Maybe if I can translate this thing into maybe simple words, if my take, as a CRO specialist, you quantify all the efforts, marketing team, sales team, and whatever efforts those are for branding maybe, and how it is helping us and to what extent it is working out. Maybe that way you quantify the things as a CRO specialist. Okay, so if I consider only about the website, Guido, so where would you start your optimization efforts? So how do you start your optimization efforts?
Well, this might again be my bias as a psychologist and a user researcher, but I always start with talking to users, to customers, try to figure out where they are getting stuck. For me, and I spend a lot of time in Google Analytics, for example, but still, it's easier for me just to go out to a couple of customers and figure out why they are not converting or why they are interested in this product or in this company, why they are on this website, or you could broaden your research and to not necessarily your customers, but to potential customers, then say, okay, why are they buying at a competitor and not at your website? And that gives you so much more insights, so much faster. And I think the why is really important there. I mean, sure, Google Analytics can tell you where people are getting stuck. And then I know, okay, people are getting stuck on the product detail page. Okay, that's nice. But you need to know the why in order to fix it. And the problem might not, the tricky thing is that if you see drop-offs in Google Analytics in a funnel on the product detail page or in a checkout or whatever, the problem might not necessarily be on that specific page. It might be earlier that they have an expectation of something. That once they get to that page, that expectation is not met, and then they bounce for that. So, for example, you could have on the product detail page not communicate any transportation fees, for example, delivery fees. So the consumer might assume, hey, this product is €50. I need to spend €50 on it. And then they go to the to the checkout page, and then only there to find out, oh yeah, you also have 20 euros delivery fee. Yeah, shit, that's much more. That's a really significant part of this of the product. Then they might bounce, and so Google Analytics tells you, oh yeah, people are bouncing on the checkout page. You need to do something there. Well, the problem might be much earlier. And so that's why I like to focus on doing some user research, some exploratory user research to figure out why people are buying here, why are they not buying here, why are they buying at competitors, and yeah, what's the thought process going through actually buying something. And that usually gives me enough work to for experiments and follow-up experiments for a year. So, especially at the first, if they're not optimized at all, if this is the first time working with a CRO or usability specialist, that usually gives you a lot of input already.
So, with your experience, can you name any of the biggest hurdles for visitors not converting from the website itself?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot. I mean, if you look at average conversion rates, maybe that's depending a bit on your on the sector that you're in. Maybe it's 2%, 4%, maybe it's 0.5% conversion rate.
That's true.
Well, that means over 95% of the visitors is not converting, right? So that's that's really bad, actually. If you compare that to offline stores, I mean,
that
even the
also sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, even the best stores online only have like maybe 50-60% conversion rate, and then I'm talking about like online supermarkets. They have a really high conversion rate, but even if you like 60%, but if you think about it, how many people do you see walking out of a supermarket without a bag of groceries? Not many, right? I mean, if you go to a physical grocery, you're gonna buy something.
Or else I can put up in these words. I am going to the grocery shop for maybe two to four things, and I'm buying more than 10 things. So that's
yeah.
For the shop.
Yeah, they're really good at cross-selling you anything that you actually didn't write down on your grocery list. But I mean, almost 100% of the people who walk out of a grocery store with stuff in their basket. So compared to online, comparing online offline, online is doing a bad job if you just look at conversion rates. I mean, obviously there are reasons for this, and there are definitely big benefits with going online. If you only look at conversion rates, online is doing a bad job. So yeah, that's apparently a lot of things are stopping them from converting. I think one of the things that it's easier to attract customers. That's one side of the equation, of course. I mean, it's really easy to get traffic to your website, much easier than to get someone in your physical store. So the hurdle in the physical store is much higher. So if it's the easier it is to get someone to your website or in your store, the lower the overall conversion rate will be. But I think one of the biggest things that stops them converting, that's really hard to emulate also in a user test, is that people are not necessarily focused on you. They're not concentrated only on you. They have a lot of things going on. And if we continue the example with the shopping basket, it sometimes takes my girlfriend like 3 days to place the order, because it's a big list. She has to go through. I need to check what's in the fridge. Then something happens with work. She needs to go back to a call from work, and then and then it's too late. And you need to pick up the kids from daycare, and then the day is gone. And the next day you add another a couple of things to the list, and people are distracted all the time. And that's something that you need to consider with your store. I mean, it's easy to just think, oh yeah, people are on my website, and this is the only thing they see and the only thing they are currently thinking about. That's probably not the case. So you need to make sure that you accommodate for these things, and specifically for the example with my girlfriend ordering over a period of 3 days. Technically, you need to make sure that your basket is still valid after those days, that you don't empty someone's basket after 1 hour. That can be really annoying for a lot of people, because it sometimes just for some people it just takes time to consider things. It's also when you when you order stuff for your house, some people might use their basket more like a wish list or something to consider. Maybe you're looking for
what to go for and what not to go for.
Yeah, maybe you're looking for, I don't know, new ceiling lights, and then in your basket you just put in like 10 lights, and you're not going to buy 10. You're only interested in one, but you use that as sort of shopping list to see, okay, these are my 10 favorites now. Still need to think, and well, for the example of ceiling lights, you might not be the only person living in that room. So you think, okay, I've now decided this, or I create this short list. I need to go back with my partner or with my family or my roommates to discuss, hey, which one do you like? And then they maybe don't like it, and then they also want to go to maybe that website, or in the worst case scenario for you as a seller, maybe they want to go to another website. And all these kind of distractions are horrible for you as when you sell something online. But if you can accommodate that, if you can make that much easier for them, like I said, if you can just extend that shopping basket, if that's still valid after 3 days, that can be really important, that you can remind people when they come back after 2 days, send them a reminder in their email, or when they come back to the website saying, hey, we still have your products. Can we help you decide in some way, or provide them with information that helps them to decide? That will be really helpful. I think that's a big thing you need to remember when you're designing those experiences. That probably, very likely, you're not the main thing on their mind, or definitely not the only thing on their mind at the moment.
That's true. I can relate. Like as you said, psychology is one of the main aspect behind all these things. So we need to consider is as one of the important aspect. Even I can now we can also maybe consider and focus on these things while we are designing, or maybe going for an experimentation for our website. So that's the really important insight for me from this, like my take on this thing. So
and people are really bad at switching tasks, right? And we know this from a lot of psychology research. We're not that great at doing a lot of things at the same time. So if we focus on one task, we can do it reasonably well. But if we add a second or a third or a fourth task, our performance really goes down quickly. But that's real life, and that's something that you need to consider. So if you're, and that's also when you design anything, consider if you have a lab situation with a perfect situation where people indeed focus only on your thing. When you do user research, yeah, they sit down with you maybe for an hour, and then your website is the only thing, and that makes it a bit tricky to do user research on this. But then you need to consider that in real life situation that might not be the case.
That's true. And like to fight with these distractions, what is your methodology to break that 2% and 4% of conversion rate and just lift it up as a CRO specialist?
Yeah, I think, doing that research in the first place, and then trying to tackle all those usability issues, try to tackle them one by one, focus on that process of gathering those user insights. And then basically the whole CRO process is designed to do this, right? Gather those insights, figure out where people are getting stuck. That's one, where they are getting stuck. Figure out why they are getting stuck. That's the second factor there. And then diligently go through the CRO process and validate, figure out what can I do to make this better, and then validate if it actually works better for your users. And again, while doing this, you really need to make sure that you're working on the right KPIs. Again, conversion rate might not be the best one. I mean, I've spoken to a lot of companies and starting CRO people saying that the conversion rate is their main focus, and that's what they want to improve. But it's a stupid example, but if your conversion rate is 2% and you say, okay, we want to double it next year, well, then just block the worst half of your traffic and your conversion rate will go up. A really bad performing affiliate marketing campaign that has 0.001% conversion. Block all that traffic, and your conversion rate will go up. That's probably not necessarily what you want to do. Maybe you still want to stop that affiliate campaign. But it's not only about conversion rate. It's also about the profit that you make or the market share that you have, the number of customers that you have, the number of returns that you have, and it all culminates to hopefully something that you can translate into customer lifetime value, and that those are things that are a bit harder to measure, but they are way more important than just conversion rate. And if you focus on that, it might be hard after a year to tell to your manager, your e-commerce manager or director or whatever who you report to, saying, we did we did 50 tests and 5 of them improved the conversion rate. Then he just looks at the revenue and says, well, where is it? I don't see it. And that's why you need to talk to your CFO or finance team to figure out, okay, what are the metrics they're actually looking at? And then focus on that and see if you can improve those.
So
and
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
One important tip here might be that you are not working or you translate what you do and don't necessarily call it conversion rate optimization or optimization to begin with, but call it risk management instead. And people, and your manager might be one of those, people are usually more scared to lose something they already have than to potentially win something in the future. It's a psychology thing that if it's already mine, I'm really hesitant to give it up. And with optimization, you can frame it in a similar way. And if it's risk management, you can say, okay, maybe some people in your company are hesitant or a bit against running experiments, right? You can tell them, well, you're actually already running experiments. You're doing it all the time. You have a content team, you have a design team, you have a development team. Continuously, day by day, we make multiple changes to our websites. We publish different products. We publish different text for those products. We do different campaigns. Those are all experiments. But the funny thing is you're not validating them. And that's what you can help with as a CRO specialist in validating if those changes actually make a difference. And then it might, hopefully that helps it click in their mind that, oh shit, yes, I am changing all things all the time. And I have no idea what those changes bring. And many of those changes might not do anything, which means you're basically wasting your time. Maybe 80% of your company is making changes that don't impact anything. And if that's not scary enough, you can tell them, well, maybe there's 10% or 20% of those changes that we do that actually perform worse than we have right now. And that's a big risk, right? So if you can frame it that way, some managers might be convinced to give you some more budgets to validate things.
Makes sense. So maybe we are limited. We have limited time. So I wanted to continue with this session, maybe off the record. I'll ask some more questions, Guido. But coming to the last note. What kind of training and educational resources or anything that keeps you updated with CRO marketing? What would you recommend to entry-level CRO fellow CRO person?
Well, I think the one thing that stands out in our industry is Conversion XL, cxl.com. They have a lot of training material on this. They're really focused on that a lot the last 5-6 years. It was originally an agency and the training part, education part became so large that they spun off the agency as Spiro and CXL continued as the training institute. There's a lot of info there. The technical side's on there with how to manage your GA or your Google Tag Manager. All the technical analytics stuff is in there. But there's also a lot of more the management stuff on how to run an experimentation program, how to do user research. It's all in there. So they have several mini degrees. There's hundreds of courses, and they have like 5-6 mini degrees. And if you want to dive into these, that's definitely a really valuable source for anyone starting or experience. I think last year I've also done. Last year I've done another mini degree there. So yeah, and I really enjoy doing that and learning it that way. Yeah.
Great. And any last advice that you recommend that it would have been great if you have got this advice before in early of your career?
I would say join a team with someone that's already experienced in this. That would be nice. At the beginning of my career, I often was both when at the agency and then being planted at clients, or when working at the client side. I was often the first one there, or the only one there doing not in e-commerce, but doing CRO, doing experimentation. And I had to figure out a lot of things on my own, which works fine, but it's much faster. I mean, it gives you a really deep understanding of why things happen the way they do. But it's much faster if you can learn from someone like that. If you want to grow in your career, do those courses, but definitely get the practical experience too, and join a team where you're not the only one doing CRO. Yeah.
Okay, that was really nice one, and basically I got many insights like how psychology is related, how understanding your customer is very, very crucial part once you consider your convergence. And maybe, as you said, if you're starting with your career, going with a team which has experienced maybe employees that will really help you go fast and grow fast in your career.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Guido.
You need to know the rules before you can break them, right? So that's that's the idea behind that. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Guido. That is point to be noted.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.